Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to some more fantastically, professionally, fandabadubably observed PUBG Mobile Scrims. My name is ImPERium. Thank you very much for checking this stream out. And yeah, here to bring you 4 games of some pretty kick-ass action, if I do say so myself. And yeah, definitely excited to see what we have and see what comes up. Last time I did the GODS United Pro Scrims, it was a pretty dominating game from New Era and UDR Killers, where they got 2 games each. But these 2 teams are not playing in today's scrims. Of course, you can see the list of teams scroll down at the bottom of my webcam, going across the way, and also in the description. We have SKYFALL, we have Destiny, we have Omega Dragons, we have Accelerate EU, the 202 Squad, Energy Esports, GODS Ultimate, the Captains, Blackjack Esports, Gun EU, No Limits, BeMyLoot, ITK KURD Squad, Hotline, Vibes6, Uchiha Team, TRAM, and Unidentified. So I hope you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. Hello to everybody out there. Thanks to Pepones for modding in stream. Thank you very much to Mayman. The bed looks the same like a few days. I think he didn't sleep till then. No, I just always make it up, dude. Do you want to see what's underneath? Do you want to guess it? Okay. See? Okay, now I will add, those are clean clothes. I just haven't put them away. I folded them, but those are clean clothes. So I make the bed, right? You know, you can also see some plates in the corner that I tried to sweep away. You know, oh, dude. The good thing is that because these are professionally observed, the feed that I have already has the delay, so I don't need to apply a delay, so I can kind of cover it back up. I will, Hugo. So I can kind of interact with you guys, you know, somewhat a little bit better and a little bit more. So that's kind of really exciting to me. I always love being able to interact. Love you, sir, from A1 Esports. Thank you very much, PUBG lover. Much love to you. Oh wait, your cam doesn't show when you casting, so it's all good. That's true, Hugo. That's true. How's it going? It's going good, each one. Hope you are doing pretty well indeed. We will be getting into the first game relatively soon. I'm just waiting for the game to pop up. Let me see if I can find out. No Limits, indeed. Bombas, No Limits. Love from No Limits, ImPERium. Thank you very much, Bombas. Much love to you. Look forward to catching you in the games. It's going to be pretty cool, because one thing I love about these kind of scrims is that I'm familiar with the good few of the teams, but there's always kind of undiscovered talent, right? There's always undiscovered teams, and you know, I want to kind of get to know as many players and teams as possible. So by streaming these scrims that, for me, has a mix of teams I do know and teams that I don't know, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Yeah, I love streaming and casting a scrim where I know all of the teams, but you know, if you don't learn about other teams, you're kind of gonna be stuck out of the loop. So I do love checking out these kind of scrims, and of course casting them, hopefully to provide a little bit of entertainment for you guys. And I hope you enjoy the stream. I hope you enjoy the casting. Of course, any feedback you have on the observing, any feedback you have on the casting from my side, always never be afraid to let me know from that standpoint. Again, just waiting for the game to start. One thing is that the games aren't starting in time, and that's a little bit frustrating, to be honest. So that's something I need to advise that when a time is given for the game to start, that's important that it does start. Or is it no? There you go. Okay, so we are into the first game. I don't have a separate map feed today, guys, so I will only see how teams are positioning based on when the map feed comes up. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I'm not gonna say it makes my job a little bit harder, but I would say it doesn't make it any easier. Let me know if there's any imbalance between the audio of the game and the audio of my casting. So we do see playing path that is definitely a bit of a pain in the ass for any teams that like to go up north. Of course, phase one will tell a bigger picture, but from a playing path point of view, it doesn't really make it easy. Even if you want to head towards Rostock and Yasnaya, I expect to see a couple of early kind of rotations to drop spots, grabbing those vehicles and hopefully not getting caught out along the way. Omega Dragons dropping in Primorsk. Surprisingly, the only team I think that seems to be there. SKYFALL dropping a little bit further down from No Limits, heading towards Gaka. Beside Unidentified dropping to Novo, and BeMyLoot are going to be in the military island. What's weird is that nobody's dropped into the actual military base, considering the playing path. And then we have a good few teams. Oh my lord, phase one, baby. That's a doozy of a phase one. On one hand, it complements the playing path, but on the other hand, it really doesn't kind of make it any easier. But you can see right now we have two teams dropping in Milton. That's Gunny U and the side of Energy Esports. The thing about, Gunny U nearly always drop in Milta, and it's the DBS early game that comes on board for this Lenial as he grabs the first kill for the side of Energy Esports, and of course helps keep things under control. You can see right now Noobs and Nadik is definitely pinched by the members of Energy Esports. Reki, who I know from last year's PMCO, always a pleasure to cast you, my friend, and much love to you. He's going to be looking over with the VSS, providing a level of frontline. Klasa, also shout out to you, my friend. He's further away from the rest of his team, but he can help provide a little bit of information, right? He's in a TPP perspective to hopefully see where Beer and Vice Lenul are. Of course, he has to be careful because he's on his own that he doesn't get caught out, right? That he doesn't get knocked, because at the end of the day, he's going to be confirmed. So he definitely has to be very careful. You can see he was going for the shots, but they didn't connect. Therefore, he didn't shoot. Looking in towards the minimap, you can see a fight going down between the side of TRAM and Unidentified. It's the initial knock each side with the PP Bison coming on board, followed by Molotovs. It's a double knockdown onto the members of TRAM by Unidentified. Looking pretty good. Unidentified. Is it? No, my apologies. It's actually Uchiha Team and TRAM that are fighting in the minimap. That is my bad indeed. But you can see it right now. It's going to be confirmation coming through. There is still, seems a member or two of Uchiha standing, but at the end of the day, the advantage is going over to TRAM in the early parts of this game. Classic fires on through, gets a knockdown onto Energy Esports while they rotate away. It's not a confirmed kill, but it should hopefully help Gun to gain a little bit more control. Nadik fires up a grenade. Don't know how closely that's going to connect. He has to be careful because he's on the roof. That gives him height, but he is a little bit exposed. Classic confirms Vice Leon. That allows now Classic to maybe join up across road and cover an extra angle and suppress Energy Esports a little bit more. Reki cannot afford to get knocked down, in my opinion. But it's a lovely knockdown with the VSS from Reki onto Nadik. That puts even more pressure. Klasa has not been able to move towards his teammates any quicker. So it leaves Nubs down to half health. Disengaging away from the house. Disengaging is all well and good, but Reki, surely you've seen... No way! How did you not see him? Oh my lord, how did you not see him? Noob comes on through. He's gonna look to go for the revive. No, not quite. In through the window. The knockdown comes through. Reki pushing forward. He didn't have to go to Noob. Noob came to him. That leaves Klasa on his own across the way. I don't think he's gonna look for a fight. He might just try and disengage. Good stuff for Energy Esports. 3 kills. Yeah, they lost a player, but for an early fight, I would say that's pretty successful, and definitely some solid team coordination all aboard from Energy Esports. But they do need to continue looting up. You can see Reki has a level 1 vest that is very badly damaged. Apparently my voice audio is far too loud. Okay, that's just Sean. Okay. Sean, stop being an asshole. But anyway, moving on over to Nova, where you have Unidentified looting up all on their lonesome, untouched right now. Is my audio balance okay, guys? Apparently, Vice-Lineal means sly. Interesting. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, by the way, Pepones. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Blue Zone's starting to close in on phase 1. We still haven't lost a squad, to be fair. But we are down to 53 players. That's 11 players taken out in the early part. So that does automatically kind of create a little bit more space in the circles. BeMyLoot joined up as a 3-man team. So it's actually, I think, 10 players, not 11 that have gone out. Either way, we're down to 53. Blackjack Esports. I absolutely love the name of that team. On a side note, Blackjack Esports. You have Beaster, player who I know well enough. I definitely want to see how he plays more and how he develops further, but I definitely see potential in how Beaster is shining through and how he's working on his gameplay. So it's exciting to see him play in these scrims representing Blackjack Esports. ITK, Zana, Rolex, Anaconda, and Kaka. They are, I believe, outside Pachinki. Nope, not outside Pachinki. They're actually outside Milta Power. So they're pretty firmly inside the circle. It's a good position for ITK to be in where they are right now. Maybe it might be beneficial for them to have a scout further in a compound further away, or possibly a 2-2 split. Vicennial is Bazzy. Oh, no way, it's Bazzy. Why did he change his name, man? Bazzy is such a good name. When you want to increase in-game sound a little bit... Okay, let me increase in-game sound. I hope that's a little bit better. Anyway, GODS United. Gonna get a little bit closer to the 202 squad. As the 202 squad do choose to back away and move further into this phase 1 circle. Remember, that phase 1 circle was not easy to deal with. But now Bongmans, did he hear the footsteps of Klasa? I think he did. And of course Klasa's on his own, so he can't afford to be too aggressive with that. But I believe those footsteps were enough to at least push back Bongmans for now. Cool. I've turned the in-game sound a little bit up. Let me turn up a little bit more. Oh, but now it's the Unidentified moving in from Novo. Klasa took some shots, but it's pretty much a 3 of the 4 players of Unidentified push into that building. Now, they don't know that the 202 squad are in those buildings across the way, so they will not necessarily have to be careful of that, but if they hear a couple of shots, they'll definitely have to rethink how they play it. For the 202 squad, they can possibly third party this, but they shouldn't take any real risks. It's only phase 1 at the end of the day. He went full Smurf, having fun and probably not having a team for the moment. Yeah, no worries, no worries, no worries. Love from Bangladesh, bro. Thank you very much, Abir. Much love to you. Class, just using that TPP perspective to hopefully get a 1v3. Pre-fire shots coming through. Class is going to be put down to a little bit of help. He gets one knockdown. No, he doesn't get one knockdown. He's going to get suppressed. He's going to get taken out. And that is the end of Gun EU. And now they swiftly turn their attentions towards the 202 squad. Didn't see where phase 2 went, to be perfectly honest, which is a little bit of a feels bad, man. So I don't know where this circle is heading towards. Maybe it's gone away from the military island quite heavily, which is why the 202 squad did look to rotate pretty quickly. Accelerate EU. Lynx, Pioneer, Franzo, Tamiko. Accelerate EU. Don't know if that is the Accelerate on a side note. Not too sure. When I say the Accelerate, I kind of mean, there you go. Phase 1 circle. It did shift away from the military island, but it is still quite heavily on the east right. You can see there's Omega Dragons on the side of Destiny outside the circle by Roshawk School and Apartments. There's quite a good bit of area on the northern half of this phase 2 that is relatively untouched. That does leave Uchiha Team in a really strong position by the mansion area. So they'll be able to hopefully prepare and catch out a couple of teams if they do opt to go a bit more north on this phase 2. It is the Accelerate EU team. They've been playing with the sub for game 1 with that IGL though, so Ducks are not there yet. Okay. Thank you very much, Courtney. Coming from the horse's mouth. Courtney, who is the owner of Accelerate, having teams in the NA and EU. With Vibes6, they're going to get their area defended that they moved into by Accelerate. Good response by Accelerate, but they gotta think they are a little bit separated. Lynx gets knocked down by Remon. He's gonna get confirmed out. Tamiko needs to somewhat provide that support while there's gonna be a little bit of an engagement coming through. Zizal's gonna get knocked down, but Franzo is returned on by the one and only Moshka Vibes6. Good start by Vibes6. Yeah, they lose a player, but they are going to get that second player knocked down, revived. It's a lovely spray by Remon onto Pioneer. Oh, that is clean as a whistle. And he's the only one in the sniper tower going into the US. Tamiko, don't look for the revive. Just look to get the hell out of there and hope to God that your vehicle does not get blown up and you do not. No, he's going for the revive. Is he actually going to go for the revive? That is, in my opinion, a very risky choice indeed. You should know that you have the man disadvantage. Vibes6 could push in on this. Tamika's going to have the tires of his US blown up. Up in the login train, there is another team already there. ITK KURD squad. He's going to chuck out his smoke. Vibes6 are going to go for the push. Lovely push coming through. It's a beautiful spray. It through the vehicle by Tamiko. Goes into MVP mode. Gets his second knockdown. Vibes6 cannot make that engagement work. They didn't make that push work. And Tamiko, credit where it's due. Balls to the wall. Just calm as a cucumber. Just gets those sprays through. And Remon is left on his own. Advantage firmly in the favor of Accelerate in towards this area, as Tamiko is also going to get the revive on the Pioneer. I said it was risky, but credit where it's due. I've been proven wrong. I have been proven wrong. And now Riemann is going to be the one that's going to be just driving himself away from this area. Tail between his legs, realizing that, hey, That was not a good push by Vibes6. Man, that is actually insane. Great stuff coming on through. Yeah, as you said, Courtney, Tamiko is full on cracked. Great play. Phase 3 moves on north, and that puts Uchiha Team in a good position. Omega Dragons, who were kind of fighting against Destiny outside Rosshawk and School and Apartments, did move into the circle outside Mansion, just to the west of it. It's that very high ground compound that's very valuable with open fields to the south of it. It's going to leave a lot of teams you can see rotating through. In my opinion, Prison Hills are definitely quite viable depending on how quickly you rotate to the area, because yeah, okay, the southern part of Prison Hills are kind of just in the circle, but it's not as much in the circle where you can get heavily caught out from behind. So in my opinion, staying on the south side in those Prison Hills could be quite strong. ITK KURD squad move a little bit down south. You have GODS United pushing in with Octator and another player of ITK KURD squad. They're split out right now, but it is great not third person, but off angle flanks from ITK KURD squad to get a knockdown onto one of the players of GODS United. But in comes 7NK up to knock down one of the players of ITK KURD squad. But ITK KURD squad are gonna swing on through. Gets a knockdown onto Shiri. Gets a second knockdown. Gets a kill coming on through. And I believe that is the end of GODS United out of there just like that. Zana and Rolex will now have to defend against Devil and 7NK. Okay, 7NK is going to look for the revive. That will allow a bit of time for ITK KURD squad to push on in, surround, and really suppress Uchiha into a corner. They've already started chucking the grenades. They don't exactly know where in the building the members of Uchiha Team are, but what I feel they need to do is they need to follow up those grenades with the push, with the manpower, right? Because they want to control this area. This area is really solid inside this phase 3 circle, and they do not want to get third-partied like they were third-partying other teams. Xana's gonna knock himself out, unfortunately. He cooked that grenade a little bit too long. Rolex does find Devil. It's a 2v1 still all the same. Rolex gonna move outside the building. Smoke's being pushed on in. Kaka is going to go for the revive. The grenade going to be pre-cooked up. That could be a golden one. It could be a golden one, but in the corner, the members of Uchiha are still inside a tiny little room. And it's just not the kind of room that can be accessed by a simple grenade. That's why you have to use that manpower. They got to realize that, 1, they're wasting utility. 2, they're wasting time. And 3, they're allowing Uchiha to come on in, to drop shot out the window, the double knockdown by 7NK. And don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so, guys. Kaka's on his own. Uchiha, fantastic play by 7NK. Out the window he went. He got the double knock. It was a drop knock. 2, and Kaka, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do when Uchiha runs wild on you, Kaka? Sticking together, Uchiha looking for that double push. Oh my god! It's a 1v2 by Kaka! The turnaround switcheroo! The action in the early parts of this game is insane! Just when you expect it's gonna go as planned, it turns around and just gets wiped out of the board. Great double kill by Kaka. And now we switch on over to the side of No Limits. They wipe out Destiny. No Limits stick to the western side, inside the circle, looking pretty good. All flat around them. They're controlling it. They're already on 3 kills. We are into phase 4, and this is a hell of a start to these scrims, baby. Of course, No Limits. We'll Are they actually looking to push this? Are they looking to push it? And Destiny, I thought Destiny were actually taken out, but they're still in the game with one player left standing. Chlor going up against Omega Dragons. Andy with the grenade, the jump shot, it's a jump shot, but it was no way, he had to reload, he took too many bullets, and Omega Dragons will keep on going as a full squad. Inside Mansion, that's on the northern edge of the circle. I did talk about Prison Hills being viable. Energy Esports are going to be put under pressure by Blackjack Esports. Let's see if they can give them the old KURD Blackjack number. As Tuzo sprays up, and the initial knockdown was put down onto Fury. Just to let you know, though, Blackjack, they are majority outside the circle. I believe it's just Death that is inside. Beaster is on the outskirts. The units is going to come on through. The M249 spray from Beer. The squad wiper, in the words of what's that day. But it doesn't matter if it's a squad wiper if you are knocked down. And a little bit of a push is going to come on through by Blackjack Esports. Accelerate Tamiko goes down. And that is the end of Accelerate. No, it's not the end. It's Pioneer left on his own. Pioneer's going to come on through. He gets a knockdown onto Beaster, but is going to be returned by Raccoon of Blackjack Esports. I wasn't sure if that was still Energy Esports, but it was Accelerate that was looking for a little bit of a cheeky third party. They got a knockdown, but in the end it became too much, and Blackjack Esports will continue as a full squad down the hills of Prison. Energy Esports seem to have actually jumped down from the high Prison Hill into the actual prison compound, and I kind of get it. I do kind of get it. I don't directly agree with it, but for surviving in this phase 5, hey, it's going to work for them for now. Andy from Omega Dragons sticks around for too long near that rock and gets paid the price as he gets knocked down. A few of the other members of Omega Dragons are inside the circle. It's Broody, who is going to look to try to cover and support the rest of his team. Broody and Jervy, should I say. The back line outside the circle, and you have Andy inside the circle with his teammate. SKYFALL holding on to the Shack of Dreams. As a 3-man team all inside that one tiny building. All it's going to take is a good few grenades, and that's going to be the end of you, my friends. Andy, along with his Omega Dragon teammates, going to full send into the circle, looking for a little bit of a flank with one of their players. Broody, that's really good, as D was. Have to stay down, he takes a little bit of damage. See, they're not focusing on SKYFALL right now. They're looking at Blackjack Esports, who are on the upper parts of the hill outside prison. And that's good for SKYFALL, as we do see the end of the 202 squad at the hands of ITK. Rolex gets knocked down. It leaves Kaka on his own. The blue zone is looking to chunk in onto the members of ITK squad. Kaka's gonna hold on. SKYFALL magic with the knockdown onto Jervy with the grenade. SKYFALL move out of shot. They're gonna go in for the push. Are Omega Dragons prepared? No, they're not, as Broody is gonna get knocked down. D-Waz is gonna get knocked down. Andy's left on his own. And it's a push from the side of SKYFALL, recognizing that they saw the opportunity and they struck on it. But it's not over. It is not over. It is not over. They need to get the revive onto Sports. While they've gotten the revive, they've allowed Omega Dragons to get their own revive. A grenade gets cooked up by Andy. And SKYFALL hear this. Andy gets a knockdown onto Sports once again. In around the US, it blows up, and Omega Dragons blow up themselves. They discombobulate. Andy's left on his own. He's going through the smoke. He's a little bit low in health. But SKYFALL, CLW with the jump shot, with the kill, with the squad wipe. And SKYFALL will continue into the top 4 as a 2-man team. Talking about top 4, ITK KURD squad, Blackjack Esports, no limits. And as we saw, SKYFALL Reek pushing on up the hills of prison, looking for an off angle, looking for a flank, trying to grab that information. Tuzo gets knocked down. Great pushing coming in from Reek, realizing that he kind of needs to sacrifice something in this area. He needs to do something for his side. As Tuzo's most likely going to get confirmed up. That leaves Raccoon, I think, on his own. No, actually, Raccoon still has Beaster and Death. So Blackjack still up as a 3-man team. As the circle moves away, Mystic gets knocked down. That leaves Simple and Bisc on the other side of the road. Moving away. Simple's going to be inside the vehicle. He's going to get caught out by SKYFALL. Little bit of a third parties. We're down to our final 2 teams. SKYFALL did indeed end up getting wiped out. Biscay on a sliver of health. A sliver of health. He prones down just in time to high ground. The circle favors the side of Blackjack Esports. And we could see them claim a dominant game 1 on the hills of prison. I thought on this phase 3, phase 4 that the hills of prison would be a viable area, but I gotta say, you do have to be able to control it, and Blackjack Esports 100% have controlled this area absolutely beautifully. Beaster gets knocked down though. Biscay with a fantastic shot on that TPP perspective. They are not in the circle though. They may have won this battle, but they certainly have not won the war. The smokes come through. They know that Blackjack are across the road on the hills. The hills are out in the open. The high ground might be able to give them the height advantage, but it is going to leave them somewhat a little bit more exposed. Simple gets knocked down. It's a 1v2. Biscay's been able to make it across. Do they have a grenade? But of course, Raccoon switching over to the red dot. He's going to cook up a grenade. It's going to be a grenade either side. I believe Biscay was the first to push it, but he oversent it because Raccoon was moving on forward. It's a lovely grenade by Raccoon. Biscay's on a sliver of health. He's going to turn around on the side of the rock. He's trying to pull off a first aid. He does get it off in time. It's a 1v1 down on the side of the rock. The pre-fire shots come through. Raccoon's on the sliver of health, and Biscay fires it up for no limits and claims a chicken dinner with 7 kills for himself. Biscay, give this man a biscuit, because he certainly deserves it. Oh, baby, no limits. Woohoo! And it was a great job by Raccoon. It was a fantastic job by Raccoon. He confirmed that kill, but just if he had have maybe pushed half a second later, he most likely would have taken out Biscay, and it was a risky first aid by Bisc, right? It was an incredibly risky first aid from Bisc. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta take a risk, right? Sometimes you got to take a risk. When your kind of back is against the wall, and look, you know it's now or never. Your health is too low that you can actually take the 1v1. Hey, it worked out, and baby, man, that is absolutely incredible. What a game, man. What a game. We saw 1v2s. We saw, we saw some absolutely fantastic fights in that game. And yeah, okay, they're scrims and they don't always tell a lot, but when I look at maybe what some teams did individually, like SKYFALL, recognized an opportunity to kind of push onto the side of Omega Dragons when Omega Dragons were somewhat distracted. Maybe Omega Dragons were just a little bit too tunnel visioned. SKYFALL capitalized on that. It could have gone horribly wrong for SKYFALL, but when you look at the fact that they were in that shack, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, they had nowhere else to go other than trying to take that fight, it showed their level of confidence. Woo! Okay, what a game. What a game. I absolutely love casting, man. I love casting, dude. Moments like that is just... Dude, man, I love casting, man. Dude. What a game. What a game. Man. Oh, man. So OP. Yeah, literally, like people have said, so OP. Like, I know Biscay. I don't know if it's Bisc or if it's Biscay. So I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. I must actually find out, but I know for a fact that he is a genuinely incredibly talented player. On his own, even though it's always going to be a team game, I know for a fact that he stands out on his own. He does. He 100% stands out on his own. And if there was ever a game to show that, it was that. So really absolutely fantastic stuff. Man. What a way to end game one. What a way to end game one. Let me just get the overlay set up for game two. We're going to be going over to Miramar, as far as I know, for game two. So as I look to set this timer, I will go for a beautiful little break. But what a game one, like absolutely stonking. Beaster, like you guys did a great job. If you hadn't have gotten knocked, though, Beaster, I think it would have been oh, awesome. Tarzan. Dude, thank you very much, dude. Means a lot, man. I will definitely tune in after I finish streaming and give you a hello. Yeah, Beaster, I think if you hadn't got knocked, I feel like it would have been a little bit easier for you. So I don't know if there's a little bit of a misplay from your side, but I feel like you probably could have not gotten knocked without seeing your perspective. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So on that note, guys, I'm going to go for a break. But I'll be back for game two in roughly about 5 minutes. Don't go away. Some more insane action coming up. Welcome back to the GODS United Professionally Observed Scrims with myself, ImPERium. Thank you so much everybody for tuning in so far. We had an absolutely fantastic game one in Erangel that went over to no limits. Would you say that Blackjack Esports threw it at the end? Yeah, there's an element to that. But did No Limits not give up? Did they look to be proactive and essentially send a message in that regard? Yes, they didn't go down lightly, right? Hell, they didn't go down at all. They ended up winning it, but it was, you know, a lot of other teams in those kind of situations, they would have stayed passive. They would have stayed prone down and allowed the blue zone to come to them before moving, whereas No Limits, yeah, did it help that they got a knockdown on the Beaster, who was the closest to the road at that point? Yes. But you got to think, while the shots were happening onto Beaster, Biscay had already started chucking out those smokes, right? I would genuinely love to actually grab the end of that game and look to analyze it in a little bit further, because I think there's a lot to be learned by other teams in that regard. The smokes were being thrown out by Bisc, and he realized that, look, the blue zone's going to hit us, so we have to keep on applying the pressure, right? They kind of recognized that as much as Blackjack had the circle, again, like I touched upon it at the very late stages of the game, they were uphill, and when you're uphill, more of your body's exposed. So once Bisc knew that he had gotten to that rock, where that was free because of the knockdown onto Beaster, it was going to be made a little bit easier. And frantically, Simple was knocked down. He was then confirmed by a beautiful grenade. At the end of the day, though, Biscay was able to just grab that first aid off in time. Then it came down to that pre-firing 1v1 around the rock. And God, that, like, a hell of a game. Absolutely a hell of a game. And GG's all around by all teams. We should be getting into game 2 fairly shortly. Definitely is a little bit frustrating that the games do not seem to be starting on time, unfortunately. But all I can do is throw that feedback, because I always want to make sure that the games are starting at a relevant time for you guys, for myself, so we all know where we stand. But I've given that feedback over, and let's see what happens for game 2. We are moving over to Miramar, right? It's a much different map that allows for teams to play a little bit of a longer game, in the sense of using the big Miramar train to maybe have a slower approach into the central part of the circle. Rotating in Miramar, though, is incredibly difficult because of the harsh train. You have two options in that regard of either sticking to the roads, which obviously can leave you more exposed but are quicker, and playing on the off-road trains, which obviously have more dips that you can stay protected in, but does take a little bit longer to get into the circles. And hello, Laser Cat Shasta, how are you getting on? Nice to see you in my stream chat. Hope you're having a great day. We do see this plane path that is a little bit north, going from the northeast down to the southwest, but above all, it's really not that much of a painful plane path. It is going to allow overall teams to get to where they want to. BeMyLoot dropping in Cruzaval. We have Unidentified going to El Azahar on their own. TRAM are split dropping essentially in between both of those cities. Hacienda del Patron is looking to be overtaken by ITK KURD squad. Destiny in San Martin. Blackjack Esports seem to be moving towards La Bandita, maybe. And then looking on over to the west, we have The 202 squad with Energy Esports in El Pozo, Accelerate in Monte Nuevo, No Limits down in Chumacera. Hotline seems to be dropping close to the captains. But that phase 1 circle is very good. Hotline, YPJ going to get called out by Biscay. He's going to continue on where he left off in game 1. It's kind of like, yep, same thing, different map. Same thing, different game. I got it, guys. It's all good. He picks up the first kill for No Limits. Picks up the first kill for himself. And now Hotline are going to have another player called out by the side of the captains. That's a absolutely fantastic helmet that Brew has. I don't know how he can see through it, but hey, look, you know, we won't think about that too much as Nitro is somewhat on his own. He has been able to loot up a couple of buildings, so I don't know what kind of equipment and stuff he has. When you look at Brew, he only has oh my lord, Nitro's gonna get outside the building. He's gonna look for one knockdown. He does get one knockdown. He is very low in health though, and in through the window with the SKS, Alendo does get that knockdown on to Nitro. And I like that push with the boogie for 2 of the players of the captains, because even though we saw Rhodey got knocked down, because you had Brew in that back line, essentially behind him, that distraction was created enough that they were able to, of course, close out that kill. So good stuff. Good stuff from the captains. Vibes6 and GODS United both in Minas Generalis. Now, fun fact. I hate Hacienda del Patron. Not Hacienda del Patron. I hate Minas Generalis. I really don't like Minas Generalis as a drop spot. I feel like that it really doesn't have the loot justified for the time it takes to loot all the areas. You kind of have to travel further to get to the buildings, and even then there's no real kind of, yeah, you have those buildings that are able to kind of keep you protected, but there's a lot of windows in those buildings, and you know, I feel like it leaves a lot of teams exposed in a bit of a team fight. However, I do recognize why it is a bit of a popular area. As Jury moves across the way, he's going to get caught out a little bit by one of the players of Vibes6. But inside the minivan, they're going to go, and Energy has a UMP, but doesn't really connect enough of those shots to cause a knockdown. 2 of the members of GODS United on the other side flanking around. So it is great positioning by GODS United around Minas Generalis, considering how close Chiri was to getting knocked down. I get that Vibes6 are looking for a bit of a disengagement. But at the end of the day, it kind of leaves them pinched up. It does leave them pinched up. Yeah, they're together, but they're a little bit blanketed. ImPERium, hello Johnny PUBG Mobile. How you getting on, dude? How you getting on, man? Nice shots by Zal. It's more the Vibes6 doesn't necessarily look for a knockdown, but one, they don't get knocked down themselves, but they keep a little bit of pressure onto GODS United and don't allow them to control this area and control the team fight. You can see that Zal is looking for a bit of a flank and a bit of a reposition to provide more angles of information and angles of cover for the rest of his team. That's really good stuff, and it was a solid use of a smoker day by Zal. Framer is going to be flanking around as well. Might be able to spout out Energy. Again, you got to make sure that you don't, you know, expose yourself too quickly. you want to have that lovely balance of getting the knockdown and not getting knocked down yourself. And Framer picked that right time to pull it off. Gets a knockdown onto Energy. Kossi is very low in health. However, first aid is pulled off. Whereas the rest of GODS United team, it's a bit of a 2-2 split. Kossi is going to fly on through, but he is going to get knocked down by Zal, and that leaves GODS United down to just 2 players. I think it might be the case where they'll just look to disengage away from Minas Generalis if they can. But again, because of, you know, how tricky this area can be, I feel like it's not the safest place to disengage from. The position that they're moving down is overall pretty solid, in the sense of it goes downhill, and you know they'll be able to obviously be less spotted by Vibes6. Watching your team Energy Esports, well, you know what, they had a pretty solid start in this game. The 202 squad. Moido, Bongmins, Sobek, and Hermes. Phase 1 is closing in. The blue zone is, of course, slowly but surely creeping in. No limits to winners of game 1. Already on a kill in the early parts of this Miramar game. Are spread out quite confidently. And no doubt they should be feeling confident off the back of that game 1 win, to be perfectly honest. Of course, in Miramar, you do have to be careful with how heavily you're spread out because of the open nature of the map. That you can get caught out, even though it's only phase 1 and it's only the early parts of the game, is still something that teams should be aware of. The 202 squad doing a little bit of scouting as they head towards the edge of San Martin on the western side of it. Accelerate EU also as a full squad. It's a bit of a 2-1-1 split. I would say that's a pretty good split for phase 1. It's not too far away, but it's also far away enough where they're able to obviously get a little bit of information. Tamigo gonna take a decent bit of damage. His level 2 helmet is down to under half health. Pioneer prone down. You don't want to be prone down in this case. Great shots from No Limits, of course, to be expected. Raccoon of Blackjack Esports has to use a little bit of early utility to try and get out of this sticky situation. But it's not going to be the case as Vibes6 continue to rack up those knockdowns and rack up those kills. Fremon gonna get knocked down. Unfortunately, he tried to jump out of that motorbike a little bit too early and paid the price. But you can see that Mosca is trying to provide a bit of information to Fremar, a bit of support as Beaster used that high ground. But of course, the higher he does peek on over that little bit of a dip, the more of his body that's exposed. Down to about 30% health. Fremar can't afford to really utilize the first aid as of just yet. It's going to be up to Moshka to really be his level of support. Lovely shots by Beaster, though. Does catch out and gets that knockdown on to Fremar. Raccoon is now going to get revived up. Unfortunately, Blackjack Esports didn't seem to join this game too. Phase 2 pops up and it shifts over to the northwest. That allows the crater fields, high ground, and just to the south of it, really some core positions. You have Power Grid, which is held onto by No Limits, also still pretty relevant inside this game too. And then kind of the northeast side has some really strong high ground positions that teams can utilize if they're not already occupied. This is the kind of normal passive early start to Miramar. You can see on the kill feed there has been a couple of knockdowns, and yeah, there's a little bit of early game action. But above all, we have 60 players, 17 teams. I believe we started with 17 teams. Moshka is left on his own. Miramar will not get revived up. So, really, the best thing he can do is stay where he is. Not a good place for him to be in. Blackjack Esports will, of course, have to think about their own position, as TRAM and BeMyLoot are going to clash on the rotation by Water Tower. Shots by Vexy, as TRAM just looked to rotate on. I think one of the TRAM players did move out of his vehicle, so TRAM is definitely separated. Yeah, it was Noor that got out of the vehicle, so there's a really strong chance that he would not survive. Vexy BeMyLoot prone down, looks for the shots onto Noor. Definitely don't want to be out in the open prone down for too long. I knew I had the name wrong. It's Water Treatment, not Water Tower. Anyway, but that's what I was talking about with that northeastern area, right? Outside Water Treatment is very strong to hold on to, and BeMyLoot were already there. And they've been able to push back a team that looked to try and go into that position. No limits on the high ground of the power grid train. Looking forward to 202 squad. Opting not to take all the shots just yet. They do have Karma pushed in with them now on a vehicle that will pretty much alert the 202 squad some of the position, but no, Bogman does not become aware of that. Is going to look to reposition into that building and will not get knocked down. Unfortunately, No Limits couldn't take advantage of that. Destiny are in San Martin, it seems. Gets a knockdown on Dazana with that car 98. Simple has to definitely be careful that he doesn't get knocked down. You know they're there. Don't over peek it for too much. You have them suppressed. BeMyLoot moving into the edge of San Martin from the Hacienda del Patron region. Moving down from Water Treatment as Phase 2 is going to close out. We'll see Phase 3 popping up fairly soon. And that has been the case. It shifts up north once again. And why did BeMyLoot go kind of actually, not away from the circle, but away from the area? In my opinion, that was a little bit of a poor move. Maybe they needed to loot up a little bit more, but now they're going to have to reposition up the northwest. The good thing is that they're pretty confident that that area is free because they came from there, but they do have to time that rotation pretty nicely. It does leave a lot of teams exposed down the south because of the harsh north shift on Phase 3 Crater Fields, and like I said, the hills to the south of Crater Fields is very important. SKYFALL are up there, followed by Omega Dragons. You see Energy Esports are just down the south side, very close to the edge of the circle, and now we see the captains are rotating around San Martin to come in via the southeastern side of the circle. Destiny are in a similar rotational path line, as we do see Drox knocks down a member of Blackjack Esports. Did I break stream? Is the stream okay? Yeah, the stream's okay. Okay, cool. Hey, So Sorry So Salty, how you getting on? Thank you so much for the raid, So Sorry So Salty. Wow. Okay, hello guys. Sorry, I didn't notice the raid because I'm casting scrims, but thank you so much. So sorry, so salty. There is no delay, but obviously I'm a little bit too focused. Thank you so much for the follow club body bag. But in this game, continued on, Rody of the captains is going to get caught out. It seems like the position that Destiny are in is going to be able to gatekeep the captains for now. Rody yet to be confirmed up. The vehicle is going to be blown to smithereens. Of course, the captains have to be aware of another team in the back line of them, so they're fighting two squads on the southeast side of the circle. Something like that, so sorry, so salty. I try not to get distracted, my friend. I hope you had a good stream, and thank you so much, man. Much love to you, bro. Destiny continue to keep the pressure onto the side of the captains. They don't exactly know where the captains are because of all those smokes that were thrown out. But you can clearly see they definitely don't want to give them any room to breathe at all, and don't want to make the captains think that they can go any closer to Destiny. But indeed, they are going to back away somewhat as Darrow sends a boogie moving away from the side of Destiny. No limits. Biscay pushes on down. He's going to take the shots onto the 202 squad. He gets one knockdown, but it's going to be returned by Mido. That was definitely a risky push on his own, and it definitely should have been a two-man play in my opinion. The thing is, can Biscay get revived up because he pushed down on his own? I don't think that's going to be the case. The circle, I believe, shifts up north once again on the circle shift. The Simple is going to come down. He's going to survive, but not without taking a hell of a lot of damage, where Bongmins is going to take advantage of that. Gets a knockdown on the Simple. Confirmation comes through on the two members of No Limits. And now Karma is going to react very effectively, getting that knockdown onto Mido. Yet to confirm the kill, but the grenade is going to be cooked up. He knows that there is Sodek, another player of 202 squad, with Mido. He pushes himself back. That grenade, in my opinion, wasn't really cooked that well. Another grenade is going to, of course, send Karma back on his own. These two teams have got to think about their position inside the circle. Reek provides a level of support while Karma heals himself up quite nicely. Grenade is going to be cooked out by Hermes again, just to try and provide a level of suppression. It's not really looking for anything extreme, but Sobek, off the back of chucking out a grenade, does find Reek with that M4. And now Hermes is going to send himself forward. The 202 squad need to capitalize off that. They need to use that man advantage to take out the winners of game one. The revive has come through, but Reek is yet to pull up any kind of first aid. Great shots coming on through. Sobek's going to fire on up. It's going to be Karma. It's going to be on a silver of health, and it is going to be the end of No Limits. The 202 squad do utilize that man advantage, even though Hermes was knocked down. They will survive as a three-man team. Good stuff by the 202 squad. ITK KURD squad. Also, rotating on the northeastern edge of the circle that is already covered. Destiny looking up to the hills towards GODS United is cheery. He may be climbing up there with the truck, but he is going to get caught out by Dictator of GODS. Sorry, not GODS United. I think it was Omega Dragons. Was returned fire by GODS United, but at the end of the day, Omega Dragons will still find a controlling area to the south of Crater Fields in this phase 4. Oh my lord, phase 5 shifts down southwest. That's good for Energy Esports and the side of Uchiha Team, even though they're not in the circle. Omega Dragons also find themselves in the center of this phase 5, which they should look to join up as a full squad. I don't really like the fact that Broody is far away from the rest of his team on this circle. It's all well and good when you know you can control, but you're going to have teams kind of, in my opinion, wrapping around you quite heavily. You need to kind of have that togetherness, that you know, that refragability if you're to hold on to the center of the circle. You know that teams are going to be going around you. GODS United are one of them on the very high ground of this crater field train, looking for Energy Esports as Vice-Lineal is going to get caught out a little bit. Dictator is also exposed a bit. Takes a little bit of health, but looks to dip down quite nicely. It's only the two-man team of GODS United left. They turned their attention on towards Destiny, who I believe had caught them out. Fury sprays up. Destiny are outside the circle. Uchiha have one of their players knocked down at the hands of Energy Esports. Hotline Levy in amongst the smokes is going to get sprayed out from the hills above, but is going to survive for now. Destiny, it's only a matter of time, my friends. Crimes holding on as Karat was knocked down. If Destiny can find any kind of space, it would be a damn hot miracle as ITK squad uses the Golden Marauder to send themselves goldenly on the edge of the circle, but the work is not over yet. They need to take out a member of one of the opposing teams. Cheery with the M4 goes for that single spray, even just to kind of send that little bit of message, not wanting to expose himself too much, as Destiny again just find themselves being taken out one by one as a 202 squad hold on for dear life. The blue zone hitting it. Phase 5 is going to do a hell of a lot of work. There's so little space around as the next phase also shifts down to southwest, and my god, this is a hell of a Miramar game with these crazy circle shifts. I'm not a fan of it, but it is damn entertaining. ITK KURD squad on the northeastern side, outside the circle for now, as they only have 45 seconds until blue zone starts closing, and Levy was able to survive from the brunt of the shots in the hills above. And now they gotta find two players. The SKYFALL, a lovely grenade being chucked out. It does connect on the shaky a little bit, but not enough to cause a knockdown. Crone's down. Chucks out his smoke just so he can loot up one of his enemies and hopefully find another grenade, another smoke, another amount of time. Quartz is ticking down. He's got a hell of a long way to go up the hill past the members of SKYFALL. If he makes it, it'll be a damn good miracle in my opinion. Unless there's a little bit of a help from a third-party team up above, I still can't see Levy making it too far. As the blue zone's gonna start moving in. You can't take the vehicle! Oh my lord, why did you take the vehicle? As Magic gets taken out, Shaky's left on his own. That does provide a possible chance for Levy. I don't know if he knows that it's SKYFALL that's in front of him, but GODS United send it on in. Now gonna look for Orlando from the captains, but he comes a cropping, and Orlando is gonna get that knockdown. Dictator in the blue zone. Dictator goes down, and GODS United get wiped to the floor. We are down to our final 5 teams, just like that. Teams have been taken out left, right, and center. Energy Esports, I had said that they were looking good in that phase 3, phase 4 shift down to southwest, and they have made it work. They have made it work. They take out Hermes. We have 4 teams left up, but it is going to be a little bit of a third party by the one and only Broody and the rest of the Omega Dragon squad. I said Omega Dragons had to somewhat join up as a full squad if they were to hold on to a bit of a controlling area inside these circles. They're not inside the circle. They're looking to rotate down the side of the hill, but it's incredibly tricky. If Orlando can come in and get that side swipe on the Recce, that could really help Omega Dragons, because there's no way in hell he's going to be able to catch out Omega Dragons. That's one thing that Omega Dragons can have to their advantage. It's a lovely spray by D-Waz. Pushing him with Broody. It's 3v2v1 as we're down to our final 3 teams and 6 players. Recce knows that there's a player in the hills above. DWAS is going to get knocked down, but it's going to be returned by Broody off the back of that two-man push by Omega Dragons. And now as Orlando chokes up a grenade, Raki is going to also choke up another one to keep the pressure on Orlando as the phase 7 blue zone hits the floor. We're going to see him go down. The captains are going to finish in third, and we're down to our final two teams. But Raki's on his own. He's got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. We're inside the blue, we're inside the craziness, and we're going to see Broody get knocked down, but it's not before the blue zone finishes off the side of Energy Esports, and Omega Dragons finish the game 2 at the top of the pile in Miramar. I said Omega Dragons had to stay together as a team when the circle centered around them in the Crater Fields training, and they did exactly that. I don't know exactly how they lost a player, but at the end of the day, they still did a damn good job, and they allowed a lot of other teams on those crazy circle shifts to kind of take each other out or die to the blue zone. Was there definitely some luck involved with those circle shifts? Of course, but at the end of the day, they did what they needed to do. Great game by Energy Esports. Again, I would definitely say benefited a little bit more with those circle shifts going down to the southwest once again on phase 4. But again, yeah, really looking solid for this game too in Miramar. No Limits getting taken out relatively early enough, making a mistake and losing 2 players as they pushed in. And you know, it's kind of the opposite of what we saw in the game 1, in my opinion, when they push in as a 2-3 man team towards the end. Whereas this game, it's kind of like maybe they were not too confident, but you don't make that kind of play unless either you really need to or you're damn confident that you can get away with it. And hey, if he was really confident he could get away with it, I can respect that. But it, in my opinion, wasn't late enough in the game that they had to go for that crazy push, right? But still a good game from the side of Omega Dragons. Great game by Energy Esports coming in second. Shout out to you, Reki. See what you did there, my friend. I see what you did there. And hey, great job. You were taking that blue zone, but you still secured second place for your team, right? If you had pushed in and allowed the last player of the captains to either get the kill on you or survive until second place, that would have been less placement points, right? When you look at it in a competitive setting. So in my eyes, you made the right call by gatekeeping the last player of the captains. You knew there was a high chance you were going to get backstabbed, and you secured second place for your team. Job done. Really good stuff indeed. Let me just get this game 3 set up. We're going to be going over to Sanhok for game 3 here in the GODS United Pro Scrims. Professionally observed, maybe professionally casted. I'll let you decide that one, to be fair. Get this time so I know where we stand. Codes have just come out, so ooh. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Hope you all are, of course, enjoying the games. Again, like I always say, if you have any kind of feedback for myself, you have any kind of, you know, advice you want to give from an observing standpoint, from a casting standpoint, please feel free to hit me up, because I'm always open to any kind of feedback. The observers for these scrims are guys who are getting trained up, so they're not directly at a level where they are you know, at the same maybe quality as we see in the PUBG Mobile Global Championship as an example. But at the end of the day, part of the benefit of these kind of scrims and observing these kind of scrims is that it allows them to practice and get better, and so they are prepared for the major events. GG's for the cast. Hello chat. Hey Gods Andu, and thank you Gabby for the vote of confidence. Anyway, I'm going to go for a break, boys and girls, but I will be back for game 3 of the GODS United Pro Scrims in roughly about 6 minutes, so don't go away. I'll see you guys then. Welcome back to the GODS United Pro Scrims, professionally observed and casted by myself, ImPERium. Thank you very much for tuning in over on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you to everybody who's supporting their teams and supporting the stream. It really means a lot. It's important that we do what we can to help the PUBG mobile community at a lower level, right? And to do what we can. Shout out to Sean Ostino tuning in over on Twitch. Dude, man, I miss you, dude. Yeah, it's really cool to see you in chat, man. Always hold so much love for you, dude. Big time. Never forget where I came from and how people like yourself helped me so much along the way. It's amazing. But yeah, the camera is ultra clear. It's dedicated. It's a Sony A5100 with a cam link, and I have a ring light as well. So it's pretty professional. Don't mind the background though. It's not the cleanest. I was exposing my untidy bed earlier on because people were saying that it looked the exact same as it did last time I streamed Scrims, so I wanted to show that. Yeah, it's because I make it tidy. But obviously I missed a few plates that are down on the ground. They just need to be washed. I'm the kind of person, you know, because I kind of mainly stay in my room the whole day, to be fair. I just kind of tend to use a couple of dishes, then wash them down in the kitchen and so on and so forth. I make it tidy. Hey, Hugo, less of it, okay? Less of it. Anyway, we should be getting into game 3 soon enough. We're going over to Sanhok for game 3. So that's going to be pretty kick-ass. We do have a Vikendi game still, to be fair. And that makes sense because even though it seemed to be announced that Vikendi won't be played in the PMCO 2021 Spring Split, in my opinion, until we see a schedule, until we kind of see it happening, especially in EU, because it could be something that they're trialing for other regions first. You know, until we know it, in my opinion, we're better off just kind of continuing it on. And talking about continuing things on, we are continuing into match 3, which, as I said, is over on the beautiful island of Sanhok. Welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and games, baby. ImPERium, shout out for No Limits. Hey, shout out to No Limits, baby. Absolutely pop off in these scrims so far. Game 1 was absolutely stunning. I can't wait to see what No Limits can do in the PMCO this year, and hopefully future competitions like the PMPL, if they have what it takes. But I know if they can allow Biscay to run wild on the lobby, so to speak, that they will go big places. And talk about going big places, you've seen that a few teams have dropped over onto island of boot camp. I think it's 3 teams somewhat. You have Unidentified, you have the side of the captains, and you also have Vibes6. So 3 teams in boot camp between the warehouses and the mainland. That phase 1 circle is heavily towards the mainland. But Rody, first player to get knocked down. Framer is going to come in on the sidelines to knock down Inix. Well, Sin Inix, but third partying in the area of boot camp is always going to be pretty important when you have multiple teams. The captains are separated in a 2-2 split. On one hand, that kind of allows them to find extra angles that they can, of course, inform their teammates and couch out other teams with. But if they get pushed on it too aggressively from 2 of their players, we could see it go down for them. Unidentified had a player knocked down. A revive is going to come on through. Vibes6 looking to vibe on this push at the hands of Unidentified. Up the stairs he goes. The knockdown comes through. Great play by Miramar. Switching over to the QBC. Actually takes out an M4 and then up the stairs he goes. iOS on his own He's going to be pushed in by the side of Vibes6. He's going to try and find the shots, but he gets knocked down. And that leaves the side of Unidentified, which with I think 2 players, maybe 1. I think it's just 1 actually who did. No, 2 players who did disengage away from boot camp on the outskirts. So that little bit of security blanket will somewhat help them, even though it's not nice that they've lost 2 players. But now realistically comes down to the captains and Vibes6 in this boot camp battle. This area is inside the circle for phase 1, so on one hand they don't have to worry about moving away. Moving on over to this fight between GODS United and Hotline. Inside the ruins, terrain, smokers knocked down, YPG playing on the outskirts of that statuette. Is it a statuette? Is it a statue? I don't know what it is, but either way, it's a huge, gigantic pillar thing. His energy is on the other side, takes a little bit of damage, and we have one of the other big pillars is being rotated on by Costy69 and GODS United, the organizer of these scrims that are professionally observed. There's a hell of a lot for the PUBG mobile community. It's a pleasure to be working with you, and it's a pleasure to know you, my friend. He has a great off angle. Could find YPG. He sees it. Oh, he unfortunately misses the timing of that. At least he's been able to provide a little bit of information to the rest of his team. As Cheery's gonna probably look to move down and hopefully provide a bit of support onto Energy. It is a shame that GODS United aren't really kind of together in terms of 2 of their players at once. I feel like they'd be able to provide a bit more pressure on the Hotline because they're down to 2 players. The fact that Costy69 is on the off angle and I believe hasn't taken any shots, so isn't really spotted out, is helpful for GODS United. But as the blue zone ticks in, it's only going to hurt both sides across the board, in my opinion, as they're going to lose any kind of valuable position in phase 2 and onwards. Nice sprays come out from Costy69 as he moves away from the main building. Takes YPG down to sliver of health. And Shiri comes in to knock down Nitro, but it is YPG who comes out on top. And Shiri, with that flank, is going to not only secure the squad, but save the life of his teammate Costy69. In my opinion, a well-coordinated push along the board. It was that 1-1-1 push by GODS United, and it shows that their communication in that engagement was on point. Moving on over to one of the poor man's boot camps. Terrain as ITK are going to go up against No Limits. Initial knockdown onto one of the ITK players. Leaves Zana on his own. Simple is also knocked down, so he's yet to be revived up as Karma is staying inside the nut tunnel, as I'm going to call it. Around the dilapidated truck. Dana is going to get to revive the Anaconda. That's allowed time, though, for Bisk and Reek to push on in down the hill and move into the city. Provide that strong level of suppression. Will they go for the revive on the Simple? That is also pretty valuable to keep them up as a full squad. It could be very important coming into the late game. Again, you know, as they go for the revive, in theory, that's allowing more time for Anaconda to reposition and the whole of ITK squad to possibly get some form of information. But at the end of the day, it's an early game man advantage for No Limits. They just got to pick their time to strike. Karma used a couple of smokes to move away from that nut tunnel, which was a very compromising position. See Bisk chucks up a grenade, or cooks it up, should I say, as Anaconda maybe heard that and will move away, joining closer to Zana. It's a good play by ITK squad. They're definitely being sensible enough, but Biscay is being quite clever. Shots either side as Anaconda down to a sliver of health. He does get that knockdown on this Simple. He's low in health himself, and that's going to be a return by Karma onto Zana. Anaconda jumps out the window. He does get a knockdown onto Karma, but it is Biscay that closes it up, and No Limits pick up 4 kills. They will get those revives up, and they will move on into the game as a full squad. Bootcamp battle is still going down between the captains and Vibes6. The captains have made their way into the central area. Beautiful shots by Riemann to catch out Baru. That was a risky move by Orlando to move closer to that square block to get that revive off. Luckily, it was done so quickly that I don't think Vibes6 were expecting it. Allowing Vibes6 to reposition away from the main building and get closer to the side building to suppress the members of the captains. As far as I know, it is 2v3. It's another knockdown by Riemann onto Rody, but he's going to be returned up as Orlando gets sweet revenge and leaves McAway as the last player up for Vibes6. Orlando taking his time a little bit in top window. He's gonna go towards Brew, pushes inside to the bottom half. They're separated up quite nicely. Brew's gonna possibly get caught out. Indeed, that's gonna be the case on a suppressed AKM by McQuay. Half health though, as he has to be very careful. Rody's trying to heal up in time, but McQuay is gonna get suppressed up as the blue zone is closing in on phase 2. It's going to be Rody left on his own. He's got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's great by Vibes6 to turn this one around. Considering how much of them, not how much, but considering they had the man advantage, it's solid stuff by Vibes6. Riemann and McQuay working well together as the blue zone is going to hit this phase 2. It's not going to be too much damage, but it isn't going to be the most comfortable as Rody's going to have to try and deal with this on his own. Pre-fire shots are going to come through. The drop shot isn't really needed, but McQuay cleans it up and gets that squad wipe. Job done by Vibes6 as the next circle is going to hit up. It does shift on over to the northeast, right into the favor of, in my opinion, the majority of these teams, right? Blackjack Esports taking their sweet time moving in from the Northwest Island. TRAM have a good rotation from the northern part of the mainland. They can come in via the north of Mong Nai. It's going to be a little bit difficult for the side of Uchiha down on the south as they play around the band train. Omega Dragons inside the circle. You have two teams, the side of Unidentified and the 202 squad are going to be fighting up in the center of this phase 3 circle. Drought took those pre-fire shots, is cooking up a grenade now as he tries to find Hermes. The thing is, do they have the information on all of the 202 squad players? Sobek is prone down. He stands up now. Is that too early? Is that too late? I like the fact that Unidentified are making noise. Making noise at times, even though it's going to alert the opposing team of your position. By making noise with gunshots, it kind of sends a message saying, hey, look, if you peek us, we are ready to fire back right now. You can keep an eye on the pattern of those shots and maybe listen out for how many bullets are being sprayed up with that gun, so you kind of maybe know when they have to reload. But at the end of the day, being loud can really be a benefit. I can see one of the members of the 202 squad, I believe, were knocked down and confirmed. I think maybe Unidentified realized that it's not worth taking this fight. They can't really breach it too confidently, so they're going to backtrack away. That could be clever, but it could go against them in the next circle when they go into a different fight and they get third party. So we'll have to wait and see. No limits in SKYFALL. Two teams down in the southwest side. Not too close to the edge of the circle, so they should be safe for phase 4, all things considered. How are you doing, Orion? Hope you're keeping well. Hello, King Webby, my friend. Thank you for the follow, Torch Ninja. Thank you to everybody once again for tuning in, my friends. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Don't text while driving. Don't risk it. Don't text and drive. Don't risk it. Thank you very much, my friend. I hope you're keeping well. God damn it, man. What did I miss in match 1 and 2? You missed a hell of a lot. You can always look back when the stream ends, or even live on stream if you want, Orion. But game 1 specifically was very good. I would really recommend checking out game 1, Orion. Seriously, there were some pretty kick-ass fights in that first game, Orion. You just joined. These are professionally observed scrims featuring some fantastic teams around Europe. And as you should know, casted by myself, ImPERium. Phase 4, I think, did go up northeast once again by the looks of it. So it's a bit tricky for GODS United and the likes of Uchiha. GODS United coming in behind Uchiha. Will Uchiha be prepared for a battle on the edge of the circle? Omega Dragons are also close to the side of Uchiha, as Cheery and Kossi69 work together to try and find a position inside the circle. The Blue Zone is making its way in on this phase 4. The tick damage will become increasingly harder to deal with, as Blackjack Esports, as I said, took their time to rotate into these circles, and in my opinion it hasn't benefited them. They're coming in via the north of Paradise Resort, but they're still, as far as I know, nowhere really near the circle. And Death has used his last first aid. He only has 6 energy drinks and 1 painkillers. Unless one of his teammates has a hell of a lot of first aids, I can't see Death holding and surviving too long in this game. Beaster has made his way in. I think on the western edge of the circle, indeed that has been the case. But TRAM are waiting in the wings to catch him out, as the Blue Zone is going to hit the floor. That Tuk is going to get sprayed up. 2 knockdowns as Blackjack Esports feeling the heat from TRAM. TRAM's beat Tuk, baby, all day long in the Battle of Paradise Resort. Beaster is left on his own, and he's going to be on the edge of Paradise Resort. Nowhere to go. Lovely shots coming on through, and I doubt Beaster can get that revive onto Tuzo unless Tuzo can crawl to his teammate. The circle does center off quite nicely. Leaves SKYFALL on the northern edge of the circle. No Limits on the southeastern edge of the circle. And 202 squad on the western edge. But it is the kind of circle where you don't really want to be in the center, right? It's why we haven't seen any teams really in the center of these last couple of circles. And with roads also affecting how these teams can move around, it's going to be very tricky for the remaining 9 teams. Great play by Unidentified to come in on the edge of the circle, get a knockdown onto one of the members of the 202 squad. Confirm that kill, leave them up with just 2 players. Playing on the edge of the wall, lovely wraparound. Working together. Bongmins yet to get confirmed up. Indeed now it's going to be confirmed up by Kudorma. My own Sobek left standing for the 202 squad. Of course, gotta be careful when you are the side of Unidentified, because there can always be a team coming in on the outside of the circle, even a third party team swiping in from the side. TRAM gonna feel the heat as Noir being able to get behind that rock, the 202 squad. Mido sending himself a little bit further away from the buildings, as the next circle does shift up. And it does, I think, stick down to the southeast a little bit with a sliver of that compound in play. Looking on that picture-in-picture, fights are breaking out all along the board as we are into the final 7 teams and the last 18 players. S1 is able to get first aid off to leave TRAM with 2 healthy players in this game, but they are further away from each other as far as I know, and there's a full SKYFALL team in front of them. It's not going to be easy as Noir gets knocked down. CLW comes in strong, comes in swinging, takes that man advantage for his side. Still 2 members of Unidentified also on the side of this compound that is still in play. It was more of a western shift on phase 6 rather than a southwestern shift. SKYFALL still looking in control, in my opinion. Have all 4 players up. 2 inside the circle, 2 outside the circle as the 202 squad took their time to kind of rotate. Prone down. Mido's going to get knocked down nicely. Caught by Shaky. But now there's 1 player left standing. He prones down, realized that there is a chance of getting refragged up, not knowing exactly how many players are left from the side of the 202 squad. Sobek heals up as the blue zone hits the floor. There is the side of No Limits on the eastern area of this phase 6. And have SKYFALL become 2 tunnel visions as they look more in the direction of the teams in the western side of this phase 7. There's no team down south. No Limits are by no means spread out. 5 teams, 9 players, and 4 of them are 1 team. Make that 4 teams. Make that 3 as we lose 2, just like that. TRAM and the 202 squad eliminated. We are left with SKYFALL, No Limits, and Unidentified. No Limits have just 1 player up. He's made his way in to the northeastern side of phase 7. SKYFALL are making some noise. Unidentified. Their 2 players are separated on the western side of the circle, down on the low ground. Even though they have the man disadvantage, I would say that they have a potential of slowing that and turning it around in their favor. Not going to be easy, I can tell you that much, as phase 8 is going to shine on up. Who's it going to favor? It kind of favors the remaining player of No Limits. It also kind of low-key favors Unidentified because they have the low ground, which, even though they're not in circle, as they rotate in it, they're on that low ground. And we all know that late game, being on the high ground is a little bit more of a disadvantage. In most cases, yes, the man advantage, as we know, is in the favor of SKYFALL. So there is a higher chance that should one of their players get knocked down, there's that higher chance of it being refragged by one of his teammates. Beautiful Molotov, I think, by Reek to try and get knocked down on the sport. Reek is going to get caught out. Magic confirms it up. Now we're just down to 2 teams. SKYFALL going up against the side of Unidentified. Sprays come through. Kudorma going to go down. Drad is left on his own. The push comes in. SKYFALL looking to clean things up. Indeed they do. This clean fight comes in, and that is going to be chicken dinner for SKYFALL in Sanhok. 5 kills to finish things off. It wasn't the highest kill chicken dinner, but it was nonetheless a confident finish for SKYFALL. Only 1 of their players getting knocked down at the end at the hands of a lovely Molotov nonetheless. But it was that shot by Magic onto Reek that kind of took away that side angle in the end, and it allowed them to focus very heavily onto the final team of the game. And yeah, solid stuff. And not as crazy of a Sanhok game as maybe I expected. The fact that it was a mainland circle, I think, above all, allowed most teams to already be inside these circles, right? And it was only the teams that were maybe having to chase phase 3, phase 4, phase 5 for whatever reasons that were maybe providing that mid-game action. Definitely some great early game battles in boot camp, and I think it was Camp Alpha or Camp Charlie. I'm not exactly sure, to be perfectly honest. But either way, it was overall an entertaining game. It just wasn't as Sanhok crazy as we've seen in the past. But again, that's why I do overall prefer mainland circles in Sanhok, because you're not dealing with the water, right? You're not dealing with the bridges and having to move across. There were definitely harsh circle shifts, but still, when you have the whole mainland, it is above all a little bit easier. And I do think a good few teams were proactive on their rotations above board. Very impressed with how Unidentified played on the edge of that compound that the 202 squad held on to. They were definitely making a continued amount of noise when they needed to, but then when they also needed to be quiet and allow other teams to do their job for them, that's exactly what they did. Like SKYFALL were the ones that kind of closed out the 202 squad, because Unidentified had pushed 202 squad away from that compound. So it wasn't so much that Unidentified had to get those kills. All they had to do was send the players from the opposing team away from that area, and it allowed Unidentified to feel a little bit safer in their circle, in their area, inside the last couple of circles. Great game above board. No limits, not as noisy as we saw in game one, but grabbing a couple of early kills kind of helped them, and the circles kind of stayed in their favor, so they didn't directly need to make a lot of noise in that regard. But grabbing third place, it does continue to show their consistency over these first 3 games. Sure, everyone shout out for your team, but let's all take a sec to shout out for ImPERium. Nah, man, don't give me a shout out. I don't deserve it. I'm the one that has the honor of casting these teams and casting these games and learning more about these teams and these players. So no, in no way do I deserve a shout out. It's my honor, and I just appreciate everyone for tuning in and supporting the teams and supporting the stream in itself. So, you know, not gonna lie, simply looks great in that. Sure, this t-shirt is great. I got it in Poland when I was doing the PUBG Mobile World League, so it also holds a pretty big place in my heart, bless my cotton socks. But shout out to Lord ImPERium, thy ginger king, bow down to his presence. Wow, that is definitely that's something. Thank you very much, Courtney, for that. Thank you very much for that, Courtney. So let me set the timer for this game for thy viewers, as we will be bringing you the action soon enough. Wahahaha. As the final game is going to be bestowed upon us, the wintry mountains of Vikendi. Who will be the team to come out on top in the final game of thy scrims? Listen, I'm not here to be smart. I'm just here to make people laugh. You know what, Courtney? I'm the exact same. I am the exact same. So the overlay is set. The timer is set. Let's go on a break, and I'll be back for the final game of the day, Vikendi, in about 4 minutes. We're back for the final game of the GODS United professionally observed scrims with myself, ImPERium. And on a side note, these games go by, in my opinion, so much quicker, and I don't have to worry about observing. I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of like, it's game 4 already. Now, have the games been relatively exciting? Yes, but it's still kind of, I'm like, wait, what? We're on the last game already? Because it is overall easier for me to cast, and it's less stressful for me when all I have to do is change a couple of overlays rather than observe, cast, and you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely more training. But anyway, we're going into the final game of the day, heading over to Vikendi, and okay, so here's my take on the whole Vikendi situation, and I'll probably actually make a quick dedicated video on this, to be honest, because I don't think it would be a bad thing. But here's my take on it. Both Vikendi and Sanhok, in my honest opinion, are not competitively viable. Is there changes that could be made to both maps individually to make them more competitively viable? 100% yes. Should they be made competitively viable to the same level of Sanhok, to the same level of Miramar and Erangel? Kind of overall no. The reason why is because Erangel and Miramar are Erangel and Miramar because they're Erangel and Miramar. I don't think you should look to make Vikendi and Sanhok the same way. But when you take the two individual maps, Sanhok, the ability and the fact that you have to move into the circle so quickly, and there's that third party potential late game is kind of quite difficult. I would recommend maybe turning the blue zone speed down in a competitive sense, or maybe adjusting it so you don't have to, you know, worry about moving across to the other part of the map so heavily. I know they made the changes in PUBG PC, but I don't think they need to go as harsh in PUBG Mobile. As far as Vikendi, in my opinion, the only thing they need to do with Vikendi is remove or change the circle algorithm so it's not so heavily 50% water most of the time on phase 1. Take away a good few compounds, make it a little bit more open, and maybe flatten some of the higher trains a bit, and maybe add a couple more bridges, because other than that, I love what makes Vikendi in a lot of sense, and I love the compounds in Vikendi maybe more than other maps, to be perfectly honest. So I understand why they might remove Vikendi from competitive. I would hope that if it's for the addition of Vikendi 2.0, that isn't a bad thing. But I don't know if Vikendi 2.0 is more competitively viable than the current Vikendi. I don't like the fact that there's a lack of snow in Vikendi 2.0. But either way, we'll have to wait and see what happens. We have made our way into this game. We did see phase 1 was about 30-35% water. As far as I remember, because I was talking, it was on the northeastern side. We have GODS United going up against beautiful side of Uchiha Team inside Cement Factory. Pretty nicely inside the circle. Cement Factory is for phase 1. Strong area to hold on to for the early parts of the game. Holding two teams in it is viable, but it is of course risky because a little bit like Minas Generalis, there's no kind of real, in my opinion, super protective buildings. So you do have to be quite careful how you hold down a position inside Cement Factory. Seems like GODS United do have Uchiha Team in a bit of a 2-2 pinch. But can they do anything about this? Oh, Mystic, you've been tracking No Limits points. 3 matches, 45 points. That's not bad. That's a very strong average. I did mention that at the end of the Sanhok game that you had chicken dinner, that you had a 3rd place. That is pretty solid consistency. In the kill feed, you can see the 202 squad are taking the fight against Destiny. Let's see if we do pan on over that soon enough. Or if we stay into this fight between Uchiha and GODS United. Seems like Destiny have been eliminated early on, from what I can tell. Again, I don't have a dedicated map feed myself, so it's hard to tell exactly other than just trying to keep an eye on the kill feed as Costy 69 goes down at the hands of the Devil. It's a knockdown initially for Uchiha. The only start is a 3-man team, so they have to make this work. His energy is going to take a lot of damage. He's going to get knocked down. Shiri is on his own. It's a lovely play coming out, but Faraz is going to get knocked down as well. Shiri is now going to be taken out. And that's going to be a squad wipe for Uchiha squad against GODS United. Considering they were only joining as a 3-man team, by God. Did a lot of work in Cement Factory. The split, the blanket push didn't work out for GODS United, unfortunately. Hotline. The 202 squad. I think it was the 202 squad that took out Destiny in this compound. We now see Hotline converging on this area. Seems like this is the engagement and the fight compound for the Vikendi game. Hotline have their members surrounded around this compound, but they are split up. Yeah, the 202 squad have 3 kills so far in this game. I don't know if that means that the whole of Destiny was squad wiped. But you can see Hermes will definitely have to be very careful about peeking out of those windows for too long. That's what blanket position does for a team. That's what kind of 1-1-1-1 splits do for your team. It allows you to find those extra angles on all of the windows of the buildings that a team are in. Again, like I mentioned, the risk is that if one of your players gets knocked out, like Levy is pushing in. Let's see what happens. He switches over to M16. Levy's going to get 1 knockdown, but it is going to be returned fire from 202 squad, who are all inside that compound. And yeah, Hotline, I don't want to say you paid the price, but you got to recognize that if you are going to go for that compound engagement, you have to do a minimum of a 2-man team. YPG finds Hermes. Good stuff from Hotline. Looking to get sweet revenge. Knocks down Mido. Now it's just 1 player left standing. 2 players left standing for the side of 202 squad. Smoker comes in. He gets that knockdown as well. Now it's 1 against all, so to speak, as the 202 squad. As Boeing Mins flies up and YPG on the jump shot takes out 202 squad, and that is a lovely squad out for Hotline off the back of poor push by Levy, I would say, where he got punished for his sins, so to speak. The rest of the team do avenge his death quite nicely, and it's 4 clean kills for Hotline to start this game as the Blue Zone of Phase 1 is pushing on in. Teams like Accelerate coming in via the northern bridge. They can end up around... Is that the northern bridge? Yeah, it is the northern bridge. You can end up around Trevno, maybe. Go to Peshkova. Or the hills to the west of Peshkova. Depends on what teams are already there, what kind of information they're going to be able to grab. The good thing is that I believe they're relatively untouched around this area for now. So many squad wipes so early in the match. For Vikendi, that's kind of normal, to be honest, in scrims. Orion, I find there's a pattern in Vikendi where there's a lot of squad fights in the early parts of the game, and that's where maybe a rework might help that by eliminating a lot of compounds. But I would have thought that more compounds would make it less early game fights, because there's more ways of looting up without, you know, going into battle, so to speak. However, it seems to be the opposite effect in Vikendi. In scrims, at least. Competitive, it's a different story. But I do... Ooh. Beer? Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Fury leading the way for the side of Energy Esports as they play on the northern side of the Vikendi map. Volnova held down to by the captains as they look to push into the circle from the south side. Mega Dragons are a little bit further ahead, and Adaro will see that, might be taking a couple of shots as his teammate Orlando drives. Either way, they're going to be able to react to that and avoid the action somewhat. A little bit of mutual respect as Omega Dragons are just going to avoid the side of captains. But the sprays are coming on through as we could see the Zima being driven by D1s be blowing up. He's going to be put down to a minimal amount of health by the tree he goes. It's a 4-man push. He gets off a first aid. Can he chuck out his smoke as well? If he can chuck out his smoke and make his way to the building, that would be very good to keep himself alive. Indeed, that's the case. He's able to disengage. Whoa, just about. Oh, no. It is Captain's Bro pushing in on the vehicle to seek out that kill. And, hey, respect the captains. You take away that one player, you automatically create more space around you, even though the blue zone of phase 1 is closing in. That's good by captains. I really like that. It is the fourth game, though. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just noticed has match 3. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Not my fault, unfortunately. Nothing I can do about it. That's from the live feed. Not from my standpoint. Omega Dragons at least have gotten into the southern part of this circle as a 3-man team. Considering the rotation, only losing 1 isn't a bad thing. We see phase 2 has gone to the northeast a little bit more, so the southern side of phase 1 is out of the picture. Trevno, Peshkova, and the high grounds that Accelerate moved onto. Really nicely done. It wasn't quite as deep into phase 1 as I thought, but considering where they were coming from, it made sense. It's on the eastern side of Cosmodrome. High Hills Energy are coming in behind them. Still about 20% water in play. You have the side of Unidentified to the north of Peshkova. SKYFALL in a beautiful compound to the west of Peshkova that is really central in this region. Hotline also looking pretty good. A little bit down south of SKYFALL. And ITK squad, they're definitely going to have to be very careful because they're kind of pinched in between two teams as Uchiha Team do push forward, followed by the captain behind them. So we could see a 3-squad fight around this area. Anaconda of ITK squad looking to take a couple of shots on the captains, try and create a little bit of space, but he's on his own. He's on his own. He's outside the compound. The rest of the team are inside the buildings. Has to be very careful not to get knocked out on his own. I like the fact that he is looking to be proactive and send back the captains from that compound. Again, creating that metaphorical bubble of space as the captains are going to utilize that low ground underneath to move into Peshkova a little bit further. Lovely shots by Kaka to knock down Brew. By no means are the captains out of the woods just yet. Another grenade being fired up by Anaconda, but that's a long one. It doesn't go far enough. But it does, of course, continue to send a message to the captains that, hey, you try and peek us, we are ready to take you out. Uchiha could capitalize off that and come in from behind to eliminate ITK squad. So you got to watch your back, ITK squad. There'll be 2 tunnel vision in this area. You're in the circle. Look back for a second. Even if it means that you allow the captains to push ahead and disengage away, I think it's a little bit healthier. But indeed, Anaconda continues to fire up. Doesn't connect any of those sprays onto Rhodey, but it does, of course, continue to keep the pressure on Kaka that gets knocked down. And like I thought, Uchiha does push him forward. Gonna try and put the pressure onto Anaconda. The knockdown comes through from Yehia as he goes, yeah, baby. And kicks off a first aid. Rolex is getting the revive onto Kaka. The captains, I believe... Oh, actually, no. They're looking to capitalize off that, recognizing in the kill feed that one of the ITK players had been knocked out and killed off. And that's going to be a second knockdown. Hotline also fourth partying this as FaZe 2's a hotbed of action inside Vikendi as the snow is starting to melt and Hotline comes in from the back line. Nitro, YPG pushing on forward. The captains throw out the smokes to get the revive onto Eldaro. They are still up as a full squad. It is realistically ITK who are under the most pressure, down to just 2 players with one of them knocked down. Uchiha are biding their time, waiting. Keep an eye on all the smokes, keep an eye on the kill feed, keep an eye on all the grenades that are flying out to try and find any kind of opportunity to strike. YPG does push on forward. He gets caught out by the captains behind a rock. Great sprays by Eldaro, but he has to go back inside the smokes as he gets shut up by ITK from behind. Phase 3 did shift up north. Rolex is the one that's going to get knocked down by ITK squad this time. The captains are going to look to capitalize off on that. Smokes is going to hamper their push a little bit, but it's not going to hamper it enough to stop the captains from closing out the squad right. But as one team is wiped out, another one is waiting in the wings. Uchiha, you want to be able to push in on that. You want to be able to recognize that you have an opportunity to control this compound. As time ticks on, Phase 4 is less likely going to stay inside this compound, so you will have to move away sooner rather than later. But alas, they've allowed those revives to get pulled off. The one good thing for the captains is that off the back of eliminating one of the Hotline players, Hotline have backed off as a squad, so in theory, that allows the captains to possibly disengage a little bit more north. Grenades being chucked out either side. Devil is going to get knocked down. Beautiful Kobe by Orlando. Will they push in on that like they did against ITK squad, or will they use that time to disengage away? I wouldn't be opposed to them pushing on it. They might be feeling confident on 4 kills so far, recognizing that they have a man advantage, or it's equal plays, as they did get that knockdown. Barras takes a little bit of damage as the peaks by Baru continues to work in their favor, pinching the side of Uchiha quite nicely inside that one building. But there's no point in pinching if you're not going to burst that bubble, right? There's no point in pinching if you're not going to pop that zip, right? Barras, sliver of health, does move away to another building. It's a lovely flank that's coming out from 2 of the players of the captains. That's a beautiful flank. As a 2-2 push, that is clean because Baru is continuing to suppress and kind of push back the members of Uchiha. Yeah, they were able to move away from that building. It's a lovely Molotov. But is it going to be enough to push back the captains? Not quite the case as they play around the side of the wall underneath the car. Fares gets knocked down. Nicely done by Orlando. He confirms that kill. Puts the members of Uchiha down to just 2 players. It's a lovely 4v2. The captains making this team fight really work in their favor, and they fully deserve it off the back of how they played around this flank, but they gotta close it out. They've yet to finish the job. Yeah, with those smokes is playing around the side of the wall. He just drops down as he looks to fire up. He's going to have to reload sooner rather than later. Orlando's going to get one, but he gets knocked down into return. However, the man advantage does prove in their favor, and they do get the squad wipe onto the side of ITK squad. Oh no, Uchiha, sorry. They also took down ITK squad, but Uchiha team are eliminated by the captains. And Hotline, I believe they got taken out by No Limits as they pushed in. The circle, like a expected in phase 4, did move up north or kind of centered up a bit. So the captains, off the back of the double squad, I will now have to move into the circle from the southern side. Looking more closely in the center parts of this circle, Energy going up against Accelerated EU, baby. Lynx, Duxan, Tamiko. Bit of a 1-1-1 split, and Fury is going to capitalize and knock out Tamiko. Great play by Energy Esports. They have one player flanked to the side. I think that's a little bit more clever than a 1-1-1 split by the side of Accelerated EU, in my opinion. Vikendi is now going to push him forward. Reki following suit, followed by Fury, followed by Bear. It's a lovely Kobe as Lynx looks to suppress one of the players of Accelerated EU. Duxon is going to get knocked down. Pioneer on top of the little shack. He's going to try and make it work in his favor, but he's going to get put under pressure because at the end of the day, the advantage is going over to the side of Energy Esports. Vikendi is going to get dropped to his knees. It's a lovely grenade, low blow coming in through. Going to keep the side of Accelerating the game. Reki's healing up. Fury goes for the revive. Lynx will be going for the revive on Duxon as well. Tamiko inside that building. He was revived up. He's now going to allow him to help the pressure put on, but Vikendi actually moves on top of the shack, takes down Pioneer, eliminates one of the advantage points that Accelerate EU had in this match, and it puts him down to 3 players. Miko plays on the side of the wall. Oh, baby! Vikendi! Oh, man! It's like he smelt it. He smelt it. It's just that spidey sense we're tingling. And Accelerate EU. It's not looking good for them. Duxon is going to get dropped down as well. It leaves him down to just one player. Lynx on the outskirts of the compound. And Energy Esports continue to rack up the kinetic energy from those kills to breathe life into this Vikendi game. Phase 5. It's outside the circle for them, but they're on 4 kills, baby, and they are still up as a full squad. No, sorry, a 3-man team, should I say. They'll have to move just a little bit further down south and move into the circle. Another fight breaks out between SKYFALL and the side of No Limits. No Limits are on 3 kills already. They're looking for more, but there's a little bit of a third party. Biscay has to close that door and move away. I believe it is the side of Unidentified that are doing that backline work. There's also a player of Destiny in one of those buildings, so you got 3 teams inside this one lovely small compound. SKYFALL have still 3 players. No Limits will be feeding a bit of a pinch off the back of being potentially third party, and it could be Energy Esports that could be taking down SKYFALL from behind as well. So it's not easy for all these teams. Breek is able to hold on. Has to pull off a first aid. You have TRAM in the background as well, but they're a little bit further away. They are moving in closer. SKYFALL CLW gets knocked down by Karma of No Limits. And now Biscay with the M249, the squad wiper in the words of Mustache Dave, now going to push on forward, and No Limits clean this fight up as soon as it starts. It ends, and there's absolutely no mercy for No Limits. Man. All the while, Sleepy of Destiny stays inside the shower. And you know what? That's exactly what every single player, when they're solo in a game of Vikendi, they stay in the bathroom of the buildings. Because it's normally the last room that the teams look. TRAM is going to get caught out as they look to move in to the circle by the side of the captains, but it is going to be fired up pretty quickly as TRAM continue on forward. They're down to 2 players. So SS1 and Noise trying to make some noise as they creep into the very edge of the circle. However, as the next phase does shift on up, it goes up north, and now they still have to continue moving on in. The Captains are in a bit of a similar situation though, so by no means are they the only team that are feeling the pinch of this next phase. Sleepy is going to get taken out by No Limits, so that's another kill for No Limits. Unfortunately, the bathroom play didn't work out in his favor. "11 kills for the Captains in this game as Eldaro prones down and pays a price. Unidentified taking advantage of that, gets a knockdown. Will he be able to, or will they be able to confirm that kill? As another knockdown on the roadie. That's lovely suppression by Unidentified. They're not in the circle, but in my opinion, they're doing a great job of creating easier space for them to move in to the north. The Thompson with the red dot. Pressure continues to be faced on by Unidentified. Yes, do they need to think about their position in the circle? 110%, but eliminating your opponents behind / around you at times is more important. It is sometimes situational. And they send Captains right into the open loving arms of TRAM, as TRAM are going to try and take advantage of that, but the Captains aren't going to pay the price. Although, just as I say that, they're going to take taken out by the side of No Limits, as Brew is left on his own. But I can imagine he's going to get cleaned up very quickly indeed. No, he's actually been able to survive as the vehicle does blow up. That is going to be the end of Brew. That's going to be the end of the Captains, and No Limits are on 10 kills themselves. The Captains having a fantastic game overall, even though they didn't finish in the top 3. Racking up 11 kills, they did enough to claim a hell of a lot of points overall. Down to our final 4 teams. Unidentified. The side of Energy Esports, No Limits, and TRAM are your 4 teams. None of the teams are inside the center of the circle. So phase 7 is probably going to be way more important than you think. I would say the Unidentified have probably the best position to move closer to the center circle, because there's a lot of forest area around them that they're able to prone down by the trees, get to the rocks, get to the trees. So if they do need to move further into the circle, they're definitely looking pretty good. And I think that's why Energy Esports are maybe looking to move towards that area. However, when there's a team already there, you definitely got to thread with a little bit of caution, boys and girls. The circle does shift into favor of No Limits, as SS1 is going to get knocked down, and TRAM are down to just a single entity unless that revive can be pulled off. Unidentified and Energy Esports do have the furthest distance to move into this phase 6 circle. Phase 6? No, it's phase 7. That's what I was just going to say. I don't know why it sticks onto the previous phase number for so long. It's annoying. Blue Zone's going to start moving in the next 30 seconds. Unidentified have to make some form of play. I get that they want to take a TRAM, but TRAM aren't in the circle themselves. Energy Esports are maybe wrapping around the northeast to move in on the northern edge of the circle, but that's kind of out in the open, so they do need to think about that. That's why they chucked out all of those smokes to create that wall. They do have a couple of vehicles that they're moving in with as well. Under players going to push in onto the other side of the compound. Reki is going to be first to be sent in forward. Fury followed by Vesino. That's good play from Energy Esports. They get away with it for now, but will they be able to survive? As No Limits, you've seen what they do in a number of these games. You can see how merciless they can be, and indeed Fury is going to go down on the side of that wall. Karma. I'm going to push a little bit forward. Will the side of Unidentified capitalize on this? Will it allow them Move in on the edge of the circle in time as Reki finds Bisc. That's a good start. Taking on one of the powerhouses of No Limits. It keeps Energy Esports inside the game. They're up on 4 kills. Fury is knocked down. He is possibly going to get revived up. As Unidentified are joining in on the fun on the southeastern edge of the southeastern edge of the circle. But it is going to be Sinks that's going to get knocked down, followed by Drought. And SS1 also going to get confirmed up. We have our 3 final teams. Energy, Esports, No Limits, and Unidentified. That initial knockdown on the Beast wasn't able to be capitalized by the side of Energy Esports. And even though the circle goes in their favor, Reki is yet to be revived up. If he can get revived up, that will keep them up as a 3-man team. Rax, oh, Kobe from Simple of No Limits eliminates that backline player. And now it's a full squad of No Limits on 12 kills. Looking to finish this game on top of the board with that chicken dinner with 15 kills and claim their 2nd win of the day in the final game of the GODS United Pro Scrims. Simple's gonna get knocked down. It's a lovely play overall from Energy Esports. It's a grenade by No Limits that did take Vikendi down to a little bit of health, but unless he's knocked down, as he's knocked down this time, that puts a little bit more of a driving force for No Limits as Biscay is going to push in onto the side of the wall. He's on his own though. He's got to make this one work. He finds Fury. Vikendi. Reki's left on his own. Reki finds Bisc. But in a matter of seconds, No Limits climbs up, takes the squad vibe and gets the chicken dinner. And Vikendi, a clean sweep. 4-4-3-4. There's no one standout player. They all did a hell of a job in that final game. Sound bug has come through, so let me turn that one down so it's not violating your ears and mine. That's a great win by No Limits. The only team today to get 2 chicken dinners, and it kind of speaks for itself. Energy Esports also getting another successful game as well. Reki, Fury, Bear, and Vice Lenial, who is Bazzy of formerly Team Dope. Good games from them. Unidentified, unfortunately, weren't able to capitalize in the same way as I'm sure they would have hoped and I would have hoped in that final game. But they were like going into the circle from a very open area and it was just never going to be easy. And maybe if No Limits and Energy Sports had maybe traded blows a little bit more heavily, it would have been easier for Unidentified. That's the way I would look at it. But it was the fact that No Limits didn't suffer any actual casualties in that game, right? It was only Biscay that was knocked down, but he got revived back up. That really hurt Unidentified's ability to third party that fight and that engagement. But yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It was, again, a great set of games above board and for all the teams. Really happy with how some of the teams showed up in those games. If you do want to find out the results of the scrims, I will be posting the results on my community tab, so you can feel free to check that out in due time, or you can join the GODS United Discord server as well. Again, like I always say, if you have any kind of feedback on my casting and the observing, please feel free to let me know. I'm always curious to know what you guys think constructively of my casting and the observing. I will be back soon enough for more scrims for your beautiful faces. Don't forget to, if you don't already, feel free to follow me over on Instagram at EVT_ImPERium. A bit of a like and a subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube definitely doesn't hurt my chances in the battle of the YouTube algorithm. And either way, thank you so much for checking the stream out. I'm not going to waste any more of your guys' evening, so I will end the stream on that note. Again, finally, thank you for checking the stream out, supporting the team, supporting myself. It's appreciated more than I can ever think of. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe. Stay awesome.